I'm Auden. I'm a grad student in psychology, developmental psychology, and one of the things I'm very interested in is early moral development. And coincidentally, that's what I'm going to talk to you guys about today, because Professor Gopnik is out of town, I believe. I hope she is. She wouldn't ask me. It's useful to start a topic like this by asking, what kind of morality can we possibly find in infants and toddlers? That's a good question to start with, because for a long time, the question was none really. You may know some of these figures, like Freud, maybe Piaget, possibly Kohlberg. All these leading figures in the field of developmental psychology and also more specifically moral development or research in moral development, all thought that early on there wasn't all that much going on in the realm of morality. Now you can contrast this, or these guys, with this New York Times article. It was published in 2010, where Paul Bloom, who's a professor at Yale, wrote the following. Babies possess certain moral foundations: the capacity and willingness to judge the actions of others, some sense of justice, gut responses to altruism and nastiness. Regardless of how smart we are, if we didn't start with this basic apparatus, we would be nothing more than amoral agents, ruthlessly driven to pursue our self-interest. So, first off, you can see the contrast with what I paraphrase to be the classic view. But also you see what's at stake here, right? It seems like if we don't find anything like morality early on, maybe inborn, then we don't know how to explain our moral nature, right? Now, that's these are a set of very controversial claims, but this is at least one current view. And my hope is that at the end of the day, you guys will be able to evaluate claims like this and make up your own mind about what you think of the claims by Paul Bloom and others. So, to evaluate a claim like that and to make up our minds about what's going on early on in the field in the realm of morality, we have to start with definitions. It's often ignored in psychological research, but we have to define what we mean by morality if we're going to talk about it. Seems obvious, but it's not. As I just witnessed this one in a conference last week. People don't always define their terms properly. So most definitions define morality as concerning other people's welfare and rights, and also issues pertaining to justice. Right? An important distinction that's been drawn in the field is that between moral issues, which pertain to welfare and rights and justice, and social conventions that have to do with coordinating social activity. For example, you guys don't wear a school uniform, obviously, but some places they do, right? Some places it's required to wear a school uniform, other places it's not. Right? That's an example of a social convention. That doesn't have any direct consequences for people's welfare. Self-interest, of course, sometimes we do things out of self-interest, but that's different from acting to preserve the welfare of somebody else. Right? So it's also useful to think about how there are two sides of morality, really. There's one side, one part, that pertains to the things that we should be doing, like being empathic, helping others, right? And then there are some things we shouldn't be doing that also fall within the domain of morality, namely harming others and stealing things, right? Being unfair, right? And certainly in adults, but perhaps more importantly in young children, we have to look at these things separately. We can't just assume that they all develop together. And in principle, it's possible that kids become able to help others before they're before they develop an aversion towards harm, right? So this is going to structure my presentation today. This distinction between the things that we should be doing and the things we should not be doing within the moral realm. Right? Also, in the background here, as you could probably tell from the quotation from the quote from Paul Bloom, there are some larger theoretical issues that I'm sure you guys have encountered again and again in this class. And I hope you can see from the New York Times article published just 3 years ago that these positions are not dead, right? They're quite alive today. On the one extreme, there's a nativist view, right? That simply says morality or core components of morality are present at birth, period, right? And there's what we call in the realm of moral development, the socialization view, which essentially argues that morality is something that kids learn from their parents. So parents say it's wrong to hit others, all right, kids come to think that it's wrong to hit others. Right? There's some sort of direct transmission of moral values and norms from the parents to the kids. And then there is something more of an intermediate view. It's not really like they're both right. It's a different view, but it's somewhere in between where what we can call a constructivist view, which is arguing that, right, kids they come into the world with something and they get some input from their parents, but they also have a lot of interactions with peers. They observe other people interact, and from all those interactions and the things they were born with, they come to construct moral values. So it gives a child a more active role, you can say. So this is a very broad categorization, and I'm going to get into more detail as we go, but it's useful to have these broader theoretical perspectives in mind when you think about this material. Okay? All right, just tell me if you have questions. All right, so let's start with the things we should be doing, right? Being empathic and helping others. Actually, one of the earliest pieces of work in the early moral development research pertains to empathy. There's been quite a bit of work on what's called the empathic cry in neonates. And when I say neonates, I mean 20-hour-old infants. It's found in several studies that newborn infants tend to cry more at the sound of another infant's cry than at the sound of their own cry. And this is taken to mean that they have some sort of rudimentary empathic ability. That's pretty impressive, right? They're various control conditions, and it seems to hold up. They cry more at the sound of another baby's cry than their own cry. Now, importantly, when we talk about empathy in adults, right, we're not simply talking about crying when other people are crying. That may be one indicator, but we wanted to go a little bit further than that. So we want to talk about behavior as well, empathic behavior. And that's also been studied. And when you look at how these things develop, it turns out that it's not so early in the second year. You can see what we could call self-oriented empathic responses, where kids get distressed when another person is distressed, and they can sort of like the ostrich buries their head in the sand, the kids bury their face in mom's lap to avoid the crying person, right? That's what we call a self-oriented response to another person's distress. And it's not until late in the second year that we see, so that's like between 18 and 24 months, when we really start to see a high prevalence of kids actually doing something, right? Like running over and like trying to comfort or help. I think Professor Gopnik actually told a great anecdote once about her son. She was crying when she was upset about something, and then her son brought her a first aid kit when obviously she was concerned about something more like about her teaching or food or whatever. But the son interpreted this to be a physical pain, right? So even though the empathic behavior may be misguided at this early stage, at least there's an attempt to help out, right? Okay, so you see that there's a big developmental change from simply crying at another baby's cry to actually doing something about it, right? So you see how there may be some innate components of the empathic response, but there's a lot to learn, literally. Okay, now the research on helping behavior has really exploded over the past 10 years. The earliest work stems back to the 1980s. The most commonly used paradigm these days is a paradigm, or it was first published in 2006, is a paradigm where an adult, so imagine me, drop something on the floor, like over the table, I reach for it, I can't reach it, and then the infant or toddler is given the opportunity to run over and help. And it turns out that in a lot of cases, quite reliably, infants as young as 14, certainly 18 and 24 months will run over, pick up the object, and hand it to the adult trying to get to the out of reach object. The picture here is actually showing a different paradigm. The picture on the left, where the person is trying to put some books in a cabinet and can't open the door because he's holding the books, and the child runs over and opens the door. Right? So instances of infants helping other people accomplish their goals. The earliest, at least so far, the earliest anybody is able to demonstrate this kind of behavior is 14 months of age. Obviously, it has some motoric requirements, so you have to be able to move around independently in order to pick up something from the floor. There seems to be some improvement in skills over the course of the second year. And here's what's been given a lot of attention in the theoretical discussions of why do these kids help, right? It turns out that it doesn't seem like the helping behavior is dependent on material reward. In fact, there's one study where they rewarded the kids by giving them these cool items whenever they helped, and the helping decreased. So it doesn't seem to depend simply on material reward. So this has led some people to say that helping behavior in the second year of life is actually reflecting some sort of innate, inborn, or natural tendency to help, some sort of natural altruistic tendency. So on one hand, you have this sort of evolutionary motivated quasi-nativist view of helping behavior. On the other hand, you have the slightly older view, stemming back to the 80s, that's saying that helping from the point of view of a 14, 16, 18-month-old is actually more about participating in adult activity than really helping the person and sacrificing what you have to help the other person achieve their goal. There's more a participation explanation than an altruistic explanation. So you see the theoretical tension here. And this tension exists today. And this is a debate that people are having today at conferences, as I witnessed last week. And I'm going to show you an excerpt from a study that we are doing, a naturalistic study of helping behavior, to show you some of the complexities involved in the kind of helping behavior we can see in the second year of life. So here is our participant. He's wearing the hat there. And I hope you can hear what he seems okay? More or less. There should be sound. Is there? Oh, certainly not. I can't hear anything. All right. Let's try this again. Well, I did hear sound earlier, so I don't know what's. Oh, that it isn't it. Okay. Well, so you can see that he's watering the plants. That's the helping behavior. And then you see that it's going along. And again. So, all right. All right, so it kind of works even without sound. So the way I want to illustrate, it works a little bit better with sound, but what I want to illustrate is that when you look at helping behavior as it occurs in the home, you get a very different story from what you see just in the lab. You see that kids aren't simply engaging in some behavior designed to help the adult achieve their goal of watering the plants, but it's also a lot about playing with water. Water is fun, spilling water at mom. I mean, it's not so much about getting the plants wet, but doing whatever is fun with the water, right? And in fact, when you look at these behaviors, you see that a lot of times you see, kids not so like this. They sort of do what they're supposed to do, but they also don't do other things. We see a lot of cases of moms correcting the child, stopping the child from helping, and the child being upset. Like in this case, a little bit later on, mom is turning off the water because they're done watering the plants, but the kid doesn't want to stop watering the plants, right? The point isn't just to get the plants wet, but it's also about playing with water. So this is something, I know this is anecdotal, and we're currently writing up the study based on this, but what I wanted to illustrate with this video is that there's a lot more going on in the home, in the context of helping behavior, than just what you see in the lab when you see a child running over to pick up an object that's dropped on the floor. Okay? Things always get more messy when we bring it into the home, but the behavior in the home is ultimately what we're trying to understand, right? Is what the kids do in their natural environment that we're trying to explain. So in conclusion, we see there's evidence of kids helping others in the second year of life, increasingly so, but the explanation for why they're helping and what this helping behavior means to them is still a matter of a lot of debate in the field. Okay? All right. So let's move on now to the things that kids should not be doing. Right? Here's a try to pick images I want two means. What's his name again? What's the bear's name? I can't see either. You've seen Toy Story 3? What's the talking bear? Yes, you've seen Toy Story 3? Right. So the point is here, how do kids think about and respond to behavior and people who are not behaving in a fashion that we would deem moral? Right? Now, I believe Professor Gopnik briefly mentioned the work by Kylie Hanlon and actually also Paul Bloom, whom I quoted earlier. And this scenario of showing the kids a puppet or figure that's helping or hindering some neutral puppet or figure trying to accomplish some goal, for example, climbing a hill. This scenario has been used a lot over the past 5 to 6 years to demonstrate that kids actually do show a preference for pro-social or antisocial agents. Right? The typical finding is that infants prefer to look or reach toward a pro-social puppet as early as 3 to 5 months of age. Right? So they see this puppet show, and then they see one person being nice, and one puppet being nice, one puppet being nuts or being mean, and then they tend to prefer to reach for the puppet that's nice. They also show a preference when they're a little older, show a preference for puppets who are distributing goods fairly, so it's like a nice arbiter. And they also actually, when they get even older, so late second year, they start distributing treats more to pro-social figures and antisocial figures. So the pattern that's emerging here is that kids seem to have some sort of rudimentary preference for pro-social puppets or agents as displayed in these kinds of scenarios. Now, it's important to note here, sort of like I pointed out with respect to the experimental research on helping behavior, that there's a lot that's left out in these studies that's important to take into account when we want to understand the development of kids' social preferences. For one thing, none of these studies that I just showed you, or that I just summarized for you, actually involved kids interacting with or observing interactions between actual people. It's all puppets, right? And again, ultimately what we're trying to understand is how kids interact with other people, how they respond to other people. So I'm going to show you some research that we've done, and let's see, this one is not going to work so well without sound. So I guess I could, all right, I'm going to see if this works. Maybe the sound is going to come on now magically.
Yeah.
Okay, there's no sound still?
Wow.
All right. Yes. Yeah. So. I'll turn everything. So I heard sound earlier. I could also just use this. Okay. I'm gonna just use my own wireless microphone. Hopefully that works. So let's see if you can hear this.
Yeah. Wow.
This is the scenario that the kids are seeing. This is obviously a nice person, right? So as you're playing the ball.
you want to play with my ball? Yeah. Wow. Roll it back.
And then we want to see who does the kid prefer to help.
Annie, Julie, look, another beanbag. Oh, wow. Uh-oh. Thank you.
So some of you may have seen this in one-on-one yesterday, but hopefully you were okay with seeing it again. Okay, so we did this with 3 different age groups, 17, 22, and 26 months, so far older than what's been used in the looking and reaching studies. But it turns out that only the 26-month-olds reliably help the social experience when we use actual people. Right? So it seems like the tasks involving real people are somewhat more difficult for kids than the task involving puppet. Meaning that, again, stressing this idea that even though we see rudimentary abilities at a very early age in the moral realm, there's still a lot of things that kids need to learn before they can actually implement these kinds of social preferences in human interactions. We did find, interestingly, the looking time that the kids, so the way the kids looked at the interaction between the pro-social and the social experimenter predicted who they helped. So again, looking time is not uninformative, it's just that it's limited in how it doesn't necessarily allow us to infer what the kids will do in human interactions. So again, this study serves a, yep?
I'm just wondering if that changed at all depending on how much distress the person showed.
Yeah, so the emotional signals can clearly influence kids' behavior in these kinds of scenarios. We kept the emotional signals to be neutral because that's what the puppets are showing in the puppet studies. We wanted to see how much can the kids infer simply based on seeing the patterns of interaction of reciprocal and non-reciprocal interactions. But you're right, that could certainly make the task easier for the kid if the sort of suffering of the victim here was made more obvious. But we wanted to rule that out for this particular study. Okay? All right, so that will serve as a segue to this idea that the kids, even though they show some rudimentary social preferences or pro-social agents at a very, very early age, there's still a lot of things they need to learn about morality. And further illustrating this point, if you look at kids' own behavior, we see an increase in mother-child conflict, any type of conflict, from the first to the second year, right? We see that kids in the second year, they fail to comply with between 20 and 40% of interventions from moms. So again, there's a lot of things that these kids are not getting that the moms are trying to, for example, there are a lot of cases where moms are trying to stop the kids from doing something that's considered wrong, and the kids don't stop, right? But clearly they don't have a full-blown moral understanding. We also see, even more illustratingly perhaps in the connection with morality, we see that aggression increases in the first half of the second year. The kids become increasingly likely to hit others and bite others and kick others. I'm sure you've seen this if you've observed a young infant or toddler. In a study that we did, we find that in a 2.5-hour observation, about 40% of the kids engage in an intentional, unprovoked harm towards other people. So my point is not here that these kids are evil, but there's a lot more complexity to the picture than simply saying that they're inherently moral. These kids. So what is it that we would consider to be what do I mean by saying that the awareness of these kids' awareness and concern with moral values is limited? We can contrast it with what we see in the third year, and I'm going to touch briefly on that, third and the fourth year, because that's sort of what the kids are developing towards, right? And in the third and the fourth year, I think we see more something that can really be considered a clearly evident moral sense in these kids, because that's when you see the first signs of guilt, where kids try to repair when they've done something wrong, they become sad if they destroy someone else's property. If you ask a 2.5, 3.5-year-old, they'll say it's wrong to hit or steal, even if there's no rule against it. They also think that moral violations like hitting others is worse than wearing a bathing suit to preschool, for example. Showing some awareness that there's really something wrong about these moral violations that goes beyond the more trivial transgression. And we also see there's also some very, very nice experimental work showing that 3-year-olds will protest if someone tries to destroy another person's property. You have a doll tearing up another doll's drawing. The 3-year-olds will say, no, don't do that. So intervening on the victim's behalf. Right? So again, showing that's what I mean by showing a clear awareness and a strong concern with moral values. And we don't see that in the second year. So something develops in the second year, especially, also in the first year, but I'm going to focus on the second. And how does it develop? Now, as we start talking about developmental change, the developmental process, things become more messy, or more difficult, but also more important, I think. So the question is, how can we understand what's going on in the second year? What are kids learning that are making them eventually come to intervene on behalf of the third person or show guilt when they've done something wrong? There are two competing views that I alluded to earlier that I'm going to revisit now. One view of how social interaction specifically affect kids' moral and social development is what I call the socialization view, where the general idea is that norms and values are simply transmitted from the parents to the kids, also from other authority figures like teachers when they start in preschool. And then in contrast, there's a constructivist view, which is arguing that kids construct different types of norms, and moral norms, but also conventional norms, through different types of interactions with the environment, stressing that the interactions that are associated with moral values and moral norms are different from interactions associated with other types of norms. I'll get back to that in a second. So first we relate to the socialization view. You'll notice if you look at the literature, which I'm not assuming all will be well, but if you did, you would notice that there's a lot of emphasis on individual differences. That's another theme I'm sure that you guys have encountered in the class. Some lines of research tend to focus on individual differences and predicting individual differences and using that as a proxy for understanding the developmental process. And others focus more on age-typical trends. Now the socialization view, research within the socialization view has predominantly focused on individual differences. That's not that that's wrong, it's just that's a choice of emphasis, right? And the findings, are generally the idea that's used to explain these findings is that some kids are inherently, for temperamental or other reasons, more willing to comply with their parents than others. Some kids just tend to comply more. Typically, they use some experimental